For today's video, we are going to work on our balance. Now, sometimes I think people think it should be easier than it is to just balance on one foot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of muscles at play here. Whenever you're on one foot, also know that you're working your core. Whenever you're on one leg, you're also strengthening your leg. You're also really working the glutes. If you've ever heard of the expression, like yoga butt, that's made the Lululemon pants famous, that kind of thing. There's something to be said for it. Whenever you're balancing on one leg, you're really shaping your glutes. So focus on those muscles working for sure each time you're on one leg. The other thing I want to say beyond the physical about balancing postures is that whenever we're in a balancing posture and we fall out, my observation anyways as a teacher is that there's this inner critic that gets really, really loud and says something like, oh, like you suck, or you're stupid, or why are you doing this, you can't do this, that kind of stuff. I notice often in my students, they'll do a balancing posture, they'll fall out, and immediately the hands go to the hips, and it just kind of tells your inner self that you're defeated in some way. So try not to do that kind of thing. It's body language, right? Really stand proud in these postures and just do the best you can, and know that when you fall out, the real strength comes in getting back into it and just trying again. So the first posture in this basic balancing series, and later we can get into some extreme balancing kind of stuff, but to start, pretty basic. So we're going to start in a classic tree pose. We're going to do two variations. So the first one, you would just be staying here. So you're balancing, you're opening into your hip a little bit, balancing on the one foot. If you're ready for something a little bit more challenging, you can try to grab the inner part of your foot, and then with the sole of your foot facing the ceiling, you could even just gently be encouraging this knee to go back. So pushing your hips forward, drawing this knee back, really opening the hips. This might be too much. If you find you can only get your foot this high, something's probably, holding a little bit here. So you can stick here for now. When you're balancing on one foot, you'll notice that your foot will want to do that sometimes. So really focus on grounding the inner part of your foot and your big toe into the floor, tailbone towards the floor. So your whole foot is rooted, not just one side or the other, or the back or the front. So evenly distribute your body weight on your foot, essentially. So this is the first one. You just be holding here for 5 breaths. Your hands could be here. Your hands could be above the head for a little bit of more of a challenge, or you're doing this one, hands here or here, balance. Still as you can, breathe.
Does it help to look at one's particular spot?
Absolutely. Very good question, Frederick. Focusing on one spot will help. If you really want an extra challenge,
close your eyes.
Yeah, and my foot's starting to wobble. It's much harder. So that's another thing you could do. The next one, so 5 breaths. Inhale and exhale, 5 complete breaths. The next one is we're going to do a balancing stick variation. There's a few different ones. A modified version of this one would be keeping your arms out. So what you want to notice here, maybe I'll do it to the front. Your hip may want to turn out like this. So what we're trying to do is keep the hip square. When you do that, you're really going to feel the right glute muscle on the supporting leg working. So your hips are square, arms are out, and you're just bringing your body down so that you're parallel. I'm just checking that mirror for alignment, parallel to the floor. For an extra challenge, I'll show you from the side. This is the Bikram yoga version of a balancing stick. So you're coming down, chin away from the chest, keeping the hip down. Try not to let the hip turn out. Coming down. You tell me when I'm straight because I can't see.
Almost. There you go.
Try not to bend the knee, really lengthening through your fingertips and also lengthening through the back toe. Hold 5 breaths as well. The third one, a little bit more challenging. Keeping a micro bend in the standing leg knee. You're going to do each side. For each of these. 2 sides, 2 sides, 2 sides, 2 sides.
Okay.
So for this one, micro bend in the standing leg knee, grab your big toe. this may be where you start here. You could keep your hand on your hip. That might help with the balance too. Again, evenly distributing the body weight on the standing leg foot. If you can, here. If this is pretty easy, if you got this one down, you can try to open the hip again by bringing the leg to the side, eventually maybe even doing something like that. But just work within where you need to be right now. So out to the side or working just to straighten this leg. 5 breaths.
So complete beginner. Can you show me from the side?
Yeah. Complete beginner. Little micro bend in the standing leg. You might just be here. So you're just working to extend this leg to this position. More advanced than your opening. So just work to straighten this leg. Maybe you're here, 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 right? Again, yoga's like watching your hair grow. Be very patient. Another thing about balance. So here we're in that sequence in the video we just did, we're balancing in our physical body. In life, we're also always striving to obtain balance. So when I first began yoga, or practicing yoga, I was actually going about my practice in somewhat of an unbalanced way. Again, it was really helping me in terms of my anxiety and that kind of thing, but I was really putting my body through a lot. I was doing intense asana practice, sometimes dislocating ribs and all this kind of weird stuff. So even though it was helping me emotionally, eventually I needed to find balance. I also was doing hours and hours and hours of yoga a day. There's not a lot of time to read and expand your mind and do other things when you're spending that much time just doing yoga. So eventually we all want to find a balance between work and play, essentially. So between your workouts, between your work that you're doing on your flexibility, and then also the other aspects of your life, spending time with your family, spending time with your lover, reading, these kinds of things. So start to think about, when you're doing your balancing postures, you could even meditate a little bit after, just on balance in your life. So do a little bit of self-inquiry and just kind of ask yourself where you're at.